Hi friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to do my winter reading wrap up, but this is going to be only my favorite books that I read for December, January, and February, which means these are going to be all 5 stars. I rated all of these books 5 stars, and if you saw in the thumbnail, it's not that many books because I did not have any 5-star reads in December. Mind blowing because I did read some good books, but they were only 4 stars. They weren't 5 stars. And I want to talk about my absolute favorites. So here's the stack. We're going to be talking about, let's talk about my favorites of winter. The first book that I have is one that I read for my first read of 2022. What a way to kick off the reading year with one of my favorites. I originally read this back in like 2016 or something like that, but this was my first read of 2022. I finished it on the 2nd of January. And this I actually read as an ARC the first time, and then I bought a physical copy because I love it so much. So it's basically about 3 different women. You have Lucy and Charlotte, who are sisters. Lucy's the youngest, Charlotte's the oldest. And then you have Iris, who has raised the girls as like her own daughters. Lucy is 16 years old and she runs away with a much older man, her teacher, her English teacher, I think, and they run away to rural Pennsylvania, and this is set in like 1969, so it has like those like vibes where young people were seeking like free love and freedom and, you know, all of those things. And it very much has those vibes throughout. If you read The Girls by Emma Cline, I didn't like that book as much. This one is like 10 out of 10 do recommend. But you follow these 3 women, you get each of their stories. So Lucy runs away with her teacher, and then she's kind of trapped in this like farmhouse because he doesn't really want anybody to know that they're there. So he basically is planning to hide her away until she turns 18 years old. And then her older sister that she left behind, she's kind of like, should I stay home and continue to look for Lucy, or should I like go off to college? So she's kind of stuck in between a rock and a hard place. And then Iris, of course, is like completely beside herself because Lucy ran away. Charlotte's most likely going off to college and she just doesn't know what to think about all of this. So it's very much like a character-driven story with a really strong plot line as well. And you're probably going to go into it thinking you're going to love one part of the story, but you're probably going to love other parts of the story more than you were probably expecting to, just like based off of the synopsis. Highly recommend this. It's one of my all-time favorites. Of course, that's why it's on this list. Let's move on to the next book. The next book I want to talk to you guys about is something that if you did not see my January live reading wrap-up show, it's going to come as a complete shock. The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. I know, guys, I read a historical fiction. I am shocked that I loved this one as much as I did. I was totally on the fence about this because I read The Great Alone, which I was expecting to absolutely love because it's set in Alaska, and I really did like it. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. This is a 5 out of 5 stars. The thing about Kristin Hannah is she writes really good plots and really compelling characters, and just the mashup of the two, because you guys know I'm not like a character-driven reader. Like, I don't really like character-driven stories. I'd much prefer plots over characters. But in this one, you just come, and even in The Great Alone, those are the only 2 books I've read by Kristin Hannah, but you just come to care about her characters without even realizing how attached you're becoming to them. But in this one, it's set in Texas in the Great Depression, Dust Bowl era, and it's about this girl that always felt like a black sheep of her family. She ends up getting pregnant and her parents kick her out, and she goes and lives with the baby daddy and his family. And the story just goes from there. They live on a farm. It's all about like the wheat crops and stuff like that. That's why it's on the front. And then, like I said, the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl happened. So if you know anything about that time in history, it was tragic. There were people going without crops, which meant no money, which meant no food. There was just like dirt everywhere. You're dirty all the times. They would like seal their windows and all of that. And plus there's children involved, like young children involved. So, you know, trying to put food on the table, trying to find ways to make clothing, make sure they get an education, and like all of these things. It's just so freaking heartbreaking, but it's based on like real things that actually happened. So just like while you're reading this, if you've never heard about it, it's just going to make you want to Google all of the like real stories about it. But it's just fascinating how she can make you care about these characters. You really go on quite the journey with this one, but man, knocked it out of the park. 5 out of 5 stars. I literally read this book in January, like around like January 4th to the 7th, and I cannot stop thinking about this one, you guys. It's so good. I don't like historical fiction much. It has to be really something fantastic for me to latch onto it. This is one I am holding near and dear and close to my heart because it is that freaking good. If you're on the fence whether you should read it or not, 100% yes, you should. So that's the second on my winter favorites. Next up is a book that I put on my wish list, added it to the cart because Caroline Johnson added this as her favorite book of 2021. And since she read it in December, I think, like nobody knew it was her favorite. It was just like this surprise favorite that nobody was expecting. It's a true crime book and I'm absolutely obsessed. If you listen to my podcast, you know, American Kingpin, the epic hunt for the criminal mastermind behind the Silk Road by Nick Bilton. Wow. Wow, wow. You guys need to read this. It's so fascinating. I highlighted so much in this book. It's just fascinating. I had no idea about the Silk Road, what the Silk Road was, who Ross Ulbricht was. I had no idea about any of this. But now I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop Googling it. I can't stop watching it. There is a movie adaptation on Hulu or Netflix. Not really sure. I think Hulu, but I could be wrong. Check both. It's called Silk Road. And it's about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. And it's like, it sums this up in like a more condensed version. But if you like the movie, definitely read the book because it goes much more into detail. So I definitely did like the book more. But it's just fascinating how this kid, this liberal young man, decided, I think anybody should be able to do drugs if that's what they want to do, but it's so scary going to a dealer, so why can't you just buy them online and have them shipped to your front door? I'm going to make a website that you can do that. So he created the Silk Road, which is this website that you can buy and sell anything you want. It started off as drugs, mushrooms, pot, cocaine, crack, acid, pretty much anything you could imagine was for sale. And it goes into detail about how he set it up, why he set it up, what was for sale, the people that he came into contact with, how scared he was, how he had to like move around a lot because he always thought people were on his tail. And it's about the epic manhunt to actually find this guy and shut the whole thing down. It is fascinating. It has pictures. It has a list of the characters, the real people, because this is a real story. and it's just freaking fascinating. So highly recommend you pick it up. You will not be able to put it down. It's just mind-blowing. The beginning part to me was better than like the end, but it's funny. So I started off using this color highlighter, and as you can see, it started fading out. So I had to switch highlighter colors. That's how much I was highlighting in this book. It's just fascinating beyond belief. It will probably be on, most of these will probably be on like my favorite books of 2022. So keep tabs on these seasonal favorites because mark my words, these are some really good ones. All right, next up, oh my gosh, my friend Daniel A sent me the 4th volume in the Heartstopper series. Oh, if you don't know about this series, like you're sleeping on a gem. Like I said, this is the 4th volume. And it really continues Nick and Charlie's story. I don't want to go too much into it because, you know, you kind of have to follow along like the whole series. But it's basically about these 2 guys that fall in love and cute shit happens. But in this one, it definitely touches on some like harder hitting topics like eating disorders and anxiety and things like that. So, you know, do a little bit of research before you go into this 4th one. I mean, do your research before you read anything, honestly. But I just love the friend group. I love the representation. I love the diversity of the cast. The artwork is amazing. And I just love this series so much. I loved everything about it. The saddest part of the entire graphic novel was when I read that the next volume is going to be the last. I'm not ready to let go of Nick and Charlie yet, but apparently I'm going to have to. All right, then a romance had to pop up on this list, The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Guys, this book has literally been everywhere, all over TikTok, Bookstagram, YouTube, all of the things I know. And I'm here to talk about it as well. It's just so cute. Like, if you like fake dating, if you like grumpy sunshine, if you like a little bit of substance to your romance, because it is a rom-com at the end of the day. Like, it does have romance, it does have comedy, but it also has some like harder hitting topics about like working in STEM as a female and all that comes with that. It's so wholesome and so cute, and like I freaking love Adam so much, you guys. He's definitely my new like book boyfriend, which is not often that I can say that as like a married woman and like, you know, happily married for many years. But yeah, he's just so freaking adorable, so sweet. He would do anything for her, and that's the kind of guy that everybody needs in their life. So if you haven't read this because you're worried about it being like overhyped, pick it up. Give it a shot. It's not too long. You know, what do you have to lose? And the last book on this favorites list, wrap up list, whatever you want to call this, is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. I adored this. The cover, I'm not like a super fan of. At first I thought these were like rose petals, but I don't think that they are. They kind of look like rose petals, but I think of them as something else in my head now because of the story. Anyway, if you've never been into thrillers before and you're wanting to like dip your toes into thrillers, but also this is like really dark and twisted, so I don't know, but if you're looking to try, I think her writing is really approachable, but this is really dark. And like it has multiple like timelines, but like you're flashing forward in time and stuff, but you're like never confused. It's so interesting start to finish, and I literally could not put it down. This one is about a woman. It starts with a woman in court testifying against her ex-boyfriend about the night that he killed her best friend and chopped up her body. And then she goes to jail because it's been 14 years since the crime, and she's known where the body was the whole time, but they finally found the body, and now he's like, you know, in court, and she's testifying that, yes, I knew where the body was because I saw him, you know, dispose of the body, blah, 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 blah. So she goes to jail for her, like, hiding where the body was type thing. And then she gets out of jail, like crazy things happen while she's in jail. Then she gets out of jail and goes home and lives with her dad. And then like crazy things keep happening because more bodies start popping up. And it's like, is this a coincidence? What's going on? And I had no idea where this was going. I was along for the ride. It was a great time. I have a full reading vlog reading this. It was just, it's so good, but it's also like very triggering because it does have a lot of like dark, gruesome scenes, like rape scenes that are like on page, and like cutting up bodies that is like on page, and like all of that. So if you want something dark and twisted, highly recommend this. Otherwise, steer clear because you're not gonna like this. But those are my favorite books that I read this winter. Not that many. That's why I'm so happy that you guys are on board with the seasonal wrap-ups rather than the monthly wrap-ups. But if you want monthly wrap-ups, I am doing monthly live shows, wrapping up books that me and some other creators have read. We don't talk about every single book. It's like a fun live show talking about some of the books that we read, and then you can hop over to their channels if they do monthly wrap-ups. But another option is to check out my Goodreads or the Storygraph, and another option is to check out my Patreon. I have started doing monthly wrap-ups over there. I have been doing them since I started my Patreon, and I go in-depth review for each book that I read, and bonus episodes. So there's a lot happening over there, but it's a lot of fun. I would love to have some of you guys from this community hop over to that community, because I feel like if you like the stuff that I do here, then you'll love the stuff I do over there as well, because I don't really like cross content, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's all for this video. I have my Patreon, my podcast, my Instagram, all of that linked down below. I am so close to 5,000 subscribers. It's blowing my mind. So hopefully soon, fingers crossed. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys again in another video very soon. Bye guys.